Hi students, let's look at this question here, which was taken from the year 2017, H2 Math Paper 2, question 3. So let's see how we can do this question here proficiently. So for this question here, you're given that y equals fx, and it cuts the axis at a0 and 0b. Okay, you're told that f inverse exists. State if it's possible to do so. If it's possible to do so, the coordinates of the points where the following curves cuts the axis. So for the first part, you're told whether this graph here will cut it. Okay, but before that, try to understand this equation here. So if we have got the fx curve and 1-to-1 exists, and it cuts at a0, which is here, and 0b, let's say here. It doesn't matter. It should just be, any kind of curve. And because f inverse exists, so we can just draw something like that. Now it's better to just draw a curve here. All right. So when you apply the 2x, f2x, it means that this becomes scale factor of half, right? Parallel to the x-axis. So in other words, this will be half, okay? And this will remain the same. So in other words, for the first one, the 0b will remain as it is, and after which we have got a over 2, 0. That's about it for the first part. All right. So as for the second part, we got y equals to fx minus 1. This would mean that we actually translate 1 unit in the positive x direction. So this would just move 1 unit to the right. Okay, so this will just move 1 unit to the right, and when you translate it, it will become something like that. Okay, so this part here will just be a plus 1, 0, and this will just be 1, b, which we do not know what will be, but this will be our y equals fx minus 1. So in other words, the coordinates we are looking at is actually just a plus 1, 0, because if it's possible, then write down the coordinates which cuts the axis. All right, that's one. Then after which, for the third one, we have got part 3. We have got y equals to f2x minus 1. So this is pretty okay. Let's say this is y equals to fx. Sorry, we should just put it as y equals to fx. So okay, you don't need to draw this in the exam, obviously. You could just write. So fx 2x minus 1, this would be, first you translate, right? First you do translate 1 unit, which means from 2 after, because you translate is the same thing, then you scale factor of half parallel to x-axis. Okay, so from here we already translated, then we need to scale this part here, which means this will just be this case here, half, which means this would be halved. So this is half. This is half b, and this will just become a plus 1 over 2, 0. Okay, so the only point which we know which exists to cut would be this point here. So that's why this will just be a plus 1 over 2, 0 for part 3. Part 4 is the inverse graph. Interestingly, just note that when you inverse your what do you call it, your expression here, what happens is the x coordinate becomes y becomes x. So in other words, the inverse graph will look something like that. Okay, so let me just draw it out so that you will understand here. So say this is BA, B0, okay, this is B0, A0, B0, and this is A0, Okay, when you inverse, this will become, it looks like that. All right, but what happens is actually this corresponding point, this corresponds to this would be 0b, this would be 0a. Okay, so in other words, your curve here will just have the 2 points there, which is 0b, b, 0b, and sorry, this is a0. Did I label wrongly? Yes, this is 0b. Sorry, so this is 0b, is 0b, and this is a0. So this will just flip. So a, the corresponding one will just flip the coordinate. This will be b0. Okay, so if this is y equals fx, this will be y equals f inverse x. So this case here, what we get is actually 0a and b0. Okay, so this is how I do this question here proficiently. Yeah, let's look at the subsequent part. This question here, 2017 paper 2 question 3b. You are told to state the value of a. This function gx is explained in this form here. So how state the value of a? Actually, you can tell that 1 minus x cannot be 0, right? Because the denominator cannot be 0, it will render the whole expression here to be undefined. So here x equals to not equals to 1, so hence a is equals to 1. Okay, so the thing is, explain why this value has to be excluded. This value, maybe I should type, so this value has to be excluded because, okay, maybe this value has to be excluded as when 1 minus x goes to 0, 1 over x will tend to infinity, which will result gx result g to be undefined. Okay, so this is what part of the reason why you should exclude result in, that's how we do this question here proficiently. So let's look at the subsequent part. The subsequent part, we are told to find the ggx and also g inverse x. So part 2, what we need is actually g square x here. This is just gx. What we need to do here is just g, just put the whole g in, which is 1 minus 1 minus x. All right, then after which we replace this whole x as an x here as well. So just be very, very careful here. 1 minus x. A lot of things going on here. So this would be 1 minus x, after which we get 1 minus x, and this will just be x. Okay, so g square x. Domain of g square will just be domain of the first function, which is g. Okay, so we're just gonna write this as a x real value without 1. So it just be without 1 a. Okay, so but it's pretty okay. So what we're gonna get is actually g. So hence g square x is equals to x, and this will give us x real value and x not equals to 1. Okay, that's 1. After which we have got g inverse. G inverse is okay, we just let y equals to gx. So y will just be equals to 1 minus x, and this will just be y, maybe 1 minus y. 1 minus y. You make x a subject, and x is equals to 1 minus, it happens to be the same. So g inverse x is equals to 1 minus x as well. And the domain of g inverse is equals to the range of g. Okay, so we need to find the range of g, but if you were to plot this graph here, you realize that actually this graph here has a horizontal asymptote of 1 as such, and after that you have the vertical asymptote of 1 as well, and 0, this will be here and here. Okay, so the range of G happens to be negative infinity to 1 and not inclusive of 1 as well. So yeah, so it's the same thing, real value not equals to 1. Okay, so the same thing happens here. We get G inverse X equals to 1 minus 1 minus X. Yeah, there you go. This is how you do this question here proficiently. The next part is the last part, part 3, which is to find G square B equals to G inverse B. So we're just going to equate both of our expression there. G square B will just be B, G inverse B will just be 1 minus B. Alright, and we try and equate them and see. So I will just bring this over. This could be rearranged 1 minus B as such, and then 1 minus B multiplied out will be this, and essentially this will be plus minus 1 equals to 1 minus B, B equals to 1 plus minus 1, meaning to say 0 or 2. Okay, is that, can we have two solutions? Values, yeah, so you have it. There you go. This is the two equations, two solutions for B. So this is how you do this question here proficiently. Any question or comments, please do let us know. Keep practicing and I'll see you in the next question.